Donald Trump has just taken another significant step toward realizing his dream, not just of being a politician, but of becoming the 47th President of the United States. However, what is truly striking is the manner in which he is pursuing this goal. His behavior and rhetoric increasingly resemble the style of Vladimir Putin. There is a tragedy unfolding here, one that is hard to believe. Recently, Trump introduced his newly appointed Attorney General, Pam Bondi, on his very first day in office. This choice seems to be yet another brushstroke in his attempt to shape the image of a strong, authoritative, and unwavering leader, one whose traits he appears to borrow from the Russian president. Isn't it obvious where his political trajectory is headed? His focus is clear: economic leverage through tariffs on Mexican goods, trade barriers against Canada, and tough measures against China. Yet, there is one country toward which he behaves differently, one he consistently treats with notable respect, admiration, and a refusal to criticize. That country is Russia, or more precisely, its leader. In just a few moments, I will show you how incredible this story is. Let's recall events from a few years ago, when Trump was still president, and revisit one of the most remarkable episodes of his political career. During a meeting with Vladimir Putin, an unprecedented moment in U.S.-Russia relations took place. It was a truly defining event. Before that meeting in Helsinki, U.S. intelligence agencies had indicted 12 Russian intelligence officers, accusing them of interfering in the U.S. elections. The Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, directly stated that Russia was involved. But what did Trump do? He sat across from Putin, listened to him, and immediately accepted his words. The Russian president denied any interference. And then, Trump uttered his now infamous statement, "I don't see any reason why it would be Russia." In that moment, he openly questioned the conclusions of his own intelligence community, siding instead with a foreign leader. But that wasn't all. Putin then made an unusual proposal, allowing Russian investigators to question the accused agents themselves. And rather than rejecting this absurd idea outright, Trump failed to object. This scene became one of the most discussed and shocking moments in U.S.-Russian diplomatic history. Donald Trump continues to strengthen ties with Russia, sparking widespread debate. During his meeting with Putin, he publicly cast doubt on U.S. intelligence findings about Russian election interference in 2016. Former CIA Director John Brennan called it a national tragedy. On the first day of his new administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the shutdown of Task Force Kleptocapture, a program designed to investigate financial crimes and enforce sanctions against Russian oligarchs. This move weakens oversight of assets belonging to Oleg Deripaska, Konstantin Malofeev, Suleiman Kerimov, and Viktor Vekselberg. Trump claims he wants to improve relations with Moscow and end the war in the conflict country. Yet he has presented no concrete plan. At the same time, he is taking a hard stance against illegal immigration and drug trafficking, designating new groups as terrorist organizations. His administration is now reviewing its sanctions policy, potentially easing pressure on Russian businesses. Many multinational corporations, including Goldman Sachs, Glencore, and Walmart, have come under intense government scrutiny. These powerful companies, which make massive strategic decisions, typically do not face career-threatening investigations against their executives. Experts note that this situation marks a major departure from established practices. As Stephen Frank, an attorney at Quinn Emanuel Urquhart & Sullivan with experience in federal courts, explains, this move represents a radical shift away from traditional Foreign Corrupt Practices Act (FCPA) enforcement. The focus is now shifting towards short-term measures against financial crimes that were never central to FCPA enforcement before. Thus, law enforcement policy is undergoing major changes, potentially altering the balance between corporate interests and global anti-corruption efforts. Among all the critical issues that truly deserve our attention, why has the focus suddenly shifted to attacking American institutions? Why dismantle mechanisms that have maintained stability and peace for decades? If I had to choose what to discard, if I had to decide whether to destroy something to follow a particular political path, and if I wanted to become like Putin, I would say this. Yes. Let's just remove this crucial element of governance, reject scientific research, and strip it of its service to society, just because Russia exists somewhere out there? There is an undeniable pattern in this chaos. Trump does not simply want to be president. He wants to take pride in being compared to Vladimir Putin. And this is not just a theory. It is an evident reality unfolding before our eyes. I am not exaggerating, nor am I trying to instill fear, but the facts speak for themselves. And they are truly alarming. Think about this. He has just taken office. How long has he been in power? 19 days. Just 19 days. And yet the changes he has already implemented are staggering in both their speed and their radical nature. Stop for a moment and reflect on this. In such a short time, he has already begun to reshape the government structure, destabilizing its very foundations. But let me be clear. I am not saying that the government does not need reform. I am not claiming that dismantling outdated structures is inherently bad. However, this is not reform. This is not creation. This is not modernization. It is not even destruction for the sake of progress. This is chaos. The dictatorship of chaos. It is the deliberate dismantling of fundamental institutions, not for the sake of advancement, but as a demonstration of power, a move to exert dominance over everything and everyone. This is destruction for the sake of attack. And you know what? Everything happening now is just another step in the long process that is keeping Donald Trump from fully becoming Vladimir Putin. But if he continues down this path, what will stop him?